and they got a 7-pound smallmouth.
No.
And they made him fillet it.
Not a smallmouth. Not a smallmouth. Not a smallmouth.
All right, guys. So welcome to another episode of the Modcast Outdoor Podcast. I have a good friend on here with us tonight, Oliver Nye. And, I haven't caught up with them in a long time. We're a little bit overdue, so I thought this would be a good chance to catch up with them. So, Oliver, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. You're definitely somebody I had on my list right away, and I've been giving him a little shit in text messages and stuff here. It was messed up the time zones. He's on the East Coast when I'm used to him being on the West Coast, so we're getting a little late for an old man over there.
No kidding, man. Father time is definitely creeping up on me.
I feel that. We're fighting it every day. So, well, man, if you would introduce yourself, give us a little bit of a background on yourself, and we'll go from there.
Oh, good grief. Where do we start? You want to take it back to 92 when I first picked up a stick and a little piece of fishing line, or?
Yeah, I think we should at some point. Yeah, but maybe just start with the basics, like where you live and, what you're doing right now.
Sure. So my name is Oliver Nye. Lots of people are unaware of who I am or what I've done, what I'm involved in, but I am a generally West Coast, Southern California based angler that has been traversing the country and at times off continent for the past decade or so. And trying to find new adventures and experiences, and it's all centered around the fishing that I do, and it's generally aimed towards trophy largemouth, and then it turned into trophy smallmouth and muskies and pretty much anything that gets big, and proves to be a challenge to capture with a rod and a reel. And we dabble in a lot of things. I like to take pride in my versatility. And man, if it swims, I love to catch it. And at the end of the day, though, after all the multi-species stuff that I've done, fresh and saltwater, I find myself coming back to trophy bass fishing because it continues to evolve and it continues to challenge me. The fact that these fish get multiple chances to become educated and conditioned and tougher to fool keeps it engaging for me. Versus everything else kind of hits a threshold, and I feel like the experience plateaus. But that's not the case with public water trophy largemouth fishing, and to a degree smallmouth fishing too, but I think they are a little bit easier to fool than an old salty largemouth.
Right, man. Well, I think we could probably do 4 podcasts with you an hour long. So, we're going to have to kind of choose what we covered with you. And there's so many things I can think about, but a little bit of our background. So I met Oliver at a trade show. He told Coy I was a stalker. And maybe that is the case. We were looking for people that, back when I worked with Undercover Sportsman, we were looking for people that were creating content. And back then that was like right before everything really, in my opinion, really took off, where everybody was creating content. Like when I met you, I was running a GoPro and stuff, but then I had you out, remember, on the Willamette, and Oliver's breaking out these bags of GoPro arms that are like 6 feet long. He's put like 3 of them together, and credit to Oliver. I had like old crappy bass tracker, dude, like borrowed some bedrug from my company and stapled it in. I had a shoestring for a trolling motor cable, which is a funny story with Oliver, and he never balked, man. Like he never made me feel like, what the heck, he got on, dude. He was for it because he came from that. I didn't know it at the time, but we were just making do and we were going fishing. And I was just really impressed because what he really showed me, like how he took it to the next level, capturing content. I mean, he would have 5 different GoPro angles on that little boat. And if one died, we switched the battery, And so that's one thing I want to give you credit on right away, Oliver, is, you were doing it before most people were doing it, and you were taking it to a level that people weren't. I mean, you were finding ways to get those GoPros to last, battery packs. So tell me a little bit about that, like from your side. I mean, things now, there's so many people doing it. In my opinion, it's a little easier with technology and cell phones.
Oh, absolutely. It's so much easier in 2025 to do what we were trying to do over a decade ago. And you can go back almost a full decade before that. The journey of my real big push into trophy largemouth fishing in Southern California in the mid to late 2000s. It's crazy to think how far back in time that was, but that predated any of this action camera stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like action cameras were not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The closest thing I could come or I could find at the time was a Sony Handycam, and those things are like $1,500 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and for you young kids, like you guys don't even know, or guys that are just getting into this content game have no idea how good you have it with even the shittiest action camera available on the market today.
Mm-hmm.
It far exceeds anything available at the time. So just like that boat that you described, like I came from a background of limited resources. So that always pushed me to be resourceful, thankfully. And it taught me to make the most out of what was at hand. Um, and we've just been growing from that ever since and trying to stay ahead of the curve, just like the fishing keeps us challenged and mentally exercised. Being a content creator is just as challenging, if not more challenging these days, because back in those days, the cream rose to the crop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, the cream rose to the top, and I felt like the content I was capturing was impactful. It was hard to capture. The context was important because, like I said before, it's always public pressured water. Any idiot can catch a farm pond bass on a piece of lettuce or whatever the hell you want to make a challenge out of. But to do it on the bodies of water that were just getting pounded, and to do it at a high level and consistently was something that the social media world had never really seen before. So that allowed me to organically grow that audience almost overnight. Like those first couple years on Instagram and Facebook are wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd wake up to, I'd be up all night working the side gig of trying to push this fishing thing to some degree in some way, shape, or form until 11 to 1 a.m. in the morning, and then be up between 4 and 5 in the morning for my construction management job. And I remember one morning I woke up and I had like 8,000 new followers
Holy cow.
in like 4 or 5 hours. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? And this is predating algorithms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the bane of my existence. AI, algorithms. It's taken the creativity and the uniqueness that I felt like I brought to the table and has drowned it out into an equation.
Yeah.
And it's kind of frustrating, to be honest,
Well, and for
because
those,
I still feel like I can do what I do at a high level, and that's capture, meaningful content to help people, to inspire them, for them to enjoy it and find entertainment value, and hopefully contribute positively to this fishing culture that's given me so much.
right. And so it's getting interesting. My producer tonight, his name's Coy Hines. He's a local guy here in Table Rock, and then Eddie Timoshuk is here with us too, listening in. And when I was talking to Coy, I always assume most people that fish know who you are, and Coy doesn't. And so he's like, "Tell me about him." I'm like, "No, it'd be cool for you just to come listen. Like, just come listen. I don't want to tell you about him because I want you to take that in. But for those of you who are watching, most of you guys are going to watch because you know Oliver and you're interested in him. But if you don't already know, Oliver, and I'm not putting him in a box because he's a great angler, but from what I got to know him as, his brand was Big Bass Dreams. And it was smart. He was branding a apparel brand alongside all his content. He had T-shirts in his booth when I met him. What show was that, Oliver? Wasn't it San Diego or ISE?
That was the Fred Hall show in Long Beach.
That's right.
California.
Man, what a cool place, Long Beach. Not, yeah, it was an awesome place. But when I met him, he was doing that. He was selling apparel. He was selling hats. He had Dream written across his hat. And, people were wearing them out throughout the show. And it was because he was inspiring, because he was chasing his dream. And to me, he was a trophy. He was a guy, he was going out and throwing these big glide baits before anybody else. He was the only one. I mean, there was a lot of guys doing it from the West Coast, but see, I was transplanted from Missouri to Oregon at the time. And so there's a culture there that you were putting on this platform that a lot of people throughout the country at that time, didn't have access to. But as social media grows, obviously now it's very prevalent, but you were one of the first ones to do it. And it's just so cool that you did that, and obviously that's what drew me to you. But that's what Oliver was to me. He was a guy that was very dedicated to going out and getting one bite, and not only that, he was capturing it on camera at high quality 4K GoPros, different angles. And so he wasn't just like he was just going and fishing. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys out there just showing their fishing every day. He was going out and catching, double digit bass and then capturing it on content or on film. And so yeah, so we got to know each other through Undercover Sportsman. It was a truck bed cover company that we just basically we sponsored some guys. We're trying to sell some truck bed covers, and Oliver sold some for sure. But so as we grew to know each other, he came up and fished with me. We fished in California several times. I think we fished the Delta, and shout out Kevin Stewart and Aaron Britt, and remember we went and fished Clear Lake, and I think we had the photographer down, and Vance McDonald from pro athlete joined us, the tight end for the 49ers. We were doing some photography. It was we've done some really cool stuff together, man. And a lot of it's credit to Oliver. He introduced me to a lot of people in the industry, Megabass included. And then another thing that we were fortunate enough to do, Oliver called me on what was it, like a Thursday or Friday, and I was laying in bed, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm coming through the Midwest, and there's this big bass tournament." He's like, "You can win $100,000." It's like, "Do you want to fish it?" And I'm like, "I don't know." It's like, "Get up, we're fishing it." So wasn't it like a Thursday or Friday? I mean, it was like a couple days before.
Yeah. No, it was like the day before, because I was driving on my way home from Chicago, down through Texas, back to LA area.
Right.
And I actually hit up Kevin Brightwell because he's a little south of you, or was.
Yep,
I
still
was like, "Hey,
is.
you want to get together and just grab a beer or dinner or something on my way down?" He's like, "Actually, I'm actually on my way up to Lake of the Ozarks. Remember that tournament I told you about last year?" I'm like, "Oh, that one where you won like 10 grand for third or something?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's this weekend." I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Cool. Like, can I still sign up?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah. It's signups are like today or tomorrow or something." And I think I called you immediately, and I was like, "Hey, let's do this. We can make the sign up. The tournament starts Friday, Saturday, Sunday." Right? Wasn't it a 3-day
That's
event?
right. That's right. Yep, that makes sense.
So I called you like mid-morning Thursday,
Uh-huh. I was laying in bed.
and
I mean, I was probably
I
sleeping in,
wasn't
but
taking no for an answer either,
yeah, he wasn't. So we booked a room.
because I knew you just hired a new video guy, and that's
Had
what I wanted. I had taken a break from largemouth fishing for like 5
you
months. I
you were doing
literally hadn't
muskie.
fished for a largemouth. I was up in the upper Midwest fishing smallies and some muskies, and I just had that itch. And I mean, it's all documented. It's on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Isn't that where
I mean,
you
you guys.
isn't that where you caught that big bass off the bluff in off of the wall?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on a big glide, right?
Yeah, 10-inch. No, how cool is this? It was a 10-inch iSlide 262, but it was in the Big Bass Dreams Edition limited run that Megabass made for Oliver, his own color, which represented every reason he was there. Right? Like his Big Bass Dreams brand he built. Here's his sponsor, Megabass, major brand. This is not like some little small business made him a limited edition bait. That's what he was throwing for every day for 3 straight days. I was throwing a 10-inch mag draft, and I was worn out by the third day. And so, yeah, let's go in. I'll tell Oliver, I'll tell it like kind of from my recollection, and we'll make it short, and you can kind of tell it from your recollection. So, yeah,
Sure.
3 days wearing ourselves out. I remember you caught like a 3-pounder on it, I think day one on a little rounded point.
It was 4.
Okay, 4-pounder. Did we cash a
And I
check for
think
that?
we waited in, and it didn't cash that hour.
Oh, that's interesting because that's a good one. That should have cashed. And then from there
Well, I
on,
think we waited. Like we waited for like, a different hourly slot to weigh it in, and we waited in the wrong hour.
yeah, and that happens.
Because what happened was I recognize these bite window opportunities with these bigger fish that most people don't, from my experience, and I wasn't willing to sacrifice the chance of catching a real one
Right.
to go weigh it in that time frame. So I was like, whatever, we'll wait after that bite window closes, and big deal, we missed out on $1,000.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Yeah. And so then we didn't catch another any largemouth worth remembering. I don't know if maybe we caught a few small ones, but it was like Sunday around noon, 11 or noon. And the way I remember it is we were pulling up on that bluff, and you got to understand these tournaments on Lake of the Ozarks, it's like you get in where you fit in. And Oliver was doing such a good job of just like pulling up to a bank, we're just going to fish it. And because I'd get in my head and be like, oh, I don't, doesn't even look that good. I mean, the bluff looked good, but a lot of the spots you just had to fish where you could fish. But, he obviously had an idea in mind on where these fish would be, but he made a cast and it caught a knot, right? And it popped that whole rod out of your hand. Do you remember that?
That happens way too often.
Okay. So, and it went in the lake. The whole setup went in the lake. And we snagged it with the other rod as it was sinking and pulled it in. It wasn't like 2 or 3 casts later you caught the fish, or am I remembering that correctly?
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but your camera guy and his buddy were in the other boat.
Yeah.
Right. We dumped him in his buddy's boat who was in the tournament, but like wasn't even trying really to like actively fish. He was like, "Oh, I'll just float next to you."
Yeah, he was enamored by Oliver chasing a big bass.
Just so they can, try to get some off boat shots.
Yeah.
And they ended, they're younger.
Yeah.
So they found themselves bullshitting a little bit too much for my liking at the time. And I could feel it in the air. There's literally a change in the air because if you remember, there was a pretty gnarly storm passing in and out that weekend.
Lucky to be alive.
And like lightning strikes, like graphs flickering, like all of that, like crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I could feel it in the air. I could feel the pressure drop. I could see the way the wind was blowing onto this rock bluff, and experience gave me the gut feeling like, hey, and I yelled back at the other boat, like in probably a really asshole type fashion. It's like, hey, are you guys going to do your job? Because I'm about to catch the winning bass. Like I was highly annoyed, and it was 2 casts later.
I don't remember you yelling at him, but that doesn't surprise me because I've Oliver is out here, this is why he did it. That's why he was able to pull it off. But so you landed it. We landed it, and I net it and laid it in the boat. And I had just caught a 7 on Table Rock like the week before. And I looked at that fish and I was like, dude, that's a 7. It looks the same size. And Oliver was just so like, I don't know where your mind, you'll have to tell me where your mind was, but I just didn't feel that he felt like it was the fish at that moment. And I'm not saying he knows what he could tell you within a 100th of a pound what a fish weighs. So he picks it up and we're all pumped. We're high fiving. And this fish is gill hooked. Like he ate that glide bait and it's bleeding like a stuck pig. And Oliver took the hook out and he was showing the camera. Well, he dipped it in the water because he was showing the camera. We had it in the boat and he dips it back in the water to get the blood off it for the camera. So it's not bleeding. Just real quickly, we're getting ready to put it in the live well. And I'm like, get that fish in the boat, dude. Like, stop dipping that fish. And he knew it wasn't going to drop it. But I mean, can you imagine who else is going to?
I've handled a lot of big bass up to that point, and many, I mean, hundreds, if not thousands, bigger than that fish. Mm-hmm. And there's not one of them things shook free of my grip. Like I've seen it happen to other people, but I ain't no bitch. Yeah. Like that fish was not coming off.
He's always like, you drop a fish in his boat. He's always like, control your fish, brother.
And I didn't want that thing just bleeding out on what I knew could be an impactful video sequence. So that's why I dipped her. And what people don't realize, too, is when you got a bleeding fish, water actually helps coagulate their blood. They're aquatic animals. They evolved to clot in the water. Mm-hmm. So that actually helped that fish stop bleeding and not die on us immediately. And but yeah, you can go on and continue on with your version of the story.
Yeah, so he gets in the live well after that, after he shows it off, and he's just, there's a shot I just posted on Modern Outdoor Media's Instagram where he's just like squirting a bunch of G juice in the live well, and we're just going to slam the lid and we're gone, right? And by the way, before I forget, if you guys do, Oliver, it's Big Bass Dreams YouTube channel where this video is, right?
Yeah, I think if you just search like $100,000 fish or $100,000 bass on that channel, it'll pop right up.
Yeah. So if you guys want to watch it before we forget, that's where it's at. So yeah. So then we head to weigh in, straight to weigh in, and it was like noon. Let's call it. I mean, you may remember better, but it was around noon, and I think it ended at
Hmm.
three. At 3, is that right?
No, I think it was earlier on Sunday. I want to say it was like either 1 or 2.
Okay. And so we weigh it in. Oliver gets there, pulls it out, goes up and weighs it in. I remember you put it in the basket to weigh it, and I don't remember exactly how the dynamic worked, but you pulled it out of the basket. What the weigh-in people were kind of considering prematurely, because they're like, no, put it back. And when he did that, well, he put it back, and then we got the weight. It was 682, and then when he pulled it out for the picture, it took a big old dump. The fish did. Dude, it was dump. And this
You
is,
can actually see it in one of the photos
you
where I'm
can.
holding it at the scale.
And this is relevant. This reason I'm saying this is relevant. So 682 takes the lead. So we go back out fishing. And like he said, there was a major storm rolling in. There was like this grass were flickering. I wanted to lay down the bottom of the boat, and he just kept on fishing. And he just weighed in the number one fish, and he's right back at it. And so I stood up there with him, and luckily we didn't get lightning struck. So we're refreshing our phones like Oliver's just fishing, refreshing the phone, because you're in the lead for $100,000. And Jesse started checking the phone. I was fishing, and I think at some point Jesse was like, "Oh my God, they just weighed in a 681, and we had a 682 for second. So 1/100th of a pound came in second. So that's $80,000 difference.
One dump away.
That's why I'm saying that. If they wouldn't have locked that weight in, and that he'd have pulled that fish out, and it could have been the difference.
Yeah.
The G
or a little bit more blood.
More blood. So if he didn't dip that fish, or the G juice, which I kind of took a shot at TH Marine in our post, because I'm like, this was the biggest marketing fumble of all time. Not only is the story true, but we documented it. We have pictures of him squirting. We have pictures of him showing the 7-pound largemouth bleeding. We know, they all know it's already $100,000 fish. Him put it in the live well, him squirting G juice in. You can see the blue juice shooting into the live well. And I don't even know if we got a share, did we?
Yeah, it was interesting. We're gonna show the people listening and watching at home a little peek inside the ugliness of the fishing industry. There was some politics in the background there that I was probably caught with because of who I was working under. Because believe it or not, I was actually on the TH Marine team, but I was pretty much blackballed because of who I was associated with.
Gotcha.
Even despite that performance, despite the potential impact, despite the impact, because we shared that as part of the real organic story, and it's part of what we do, right? Like, we don't fake anything. This is what you see is what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing came of that. I got dropped the following season.
And so so what you're alluding to, and obviously you get as deep into it as you want, but I don't care. But I'm remaining professional. But you're saying that brand, they didn't want TH Marine to use it because they wanted it because they were paying you?
No, it was like there was internal turmoil, and there were pretty much two camps involved.
Oh, within TH.
Yeah, and I was on the wrong side of that division.
Wow. I'm telling you, man, you go look at that picture on Instagram. It's gold. Like, I don't know what that is worth.
It's in the moment. Like, I talked about how important context is, right? And what I do. Like, what more do you want?
That's it. That is like the story. That's like the pinnacle for that, for G Juice. 1/100th of a pound. It's a $20,000 paycheck for second and $100,000 for first. And I truly believe that G Juice saved the 1/100th of a pound. I mean, there's other things that came into play too, but G Juice works 100%. So anyway, so is there anything I left out?
Yeah. I mean, do you remember what happened afterwards?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I was going to let you go into that.
All right. Start it off to make sure we're on the same page here.
Yeah. So we win.
Fishing?
Huh?
Weren't y'all bluegill fishing the night before though?
No. Well, yeah, we were, but it wasn't the night before.
Okay.
So is that where you're going at, Ollie?
No, I was talking about once we weighed the fish in, passed the first polygraph with flying colors, of course, and drove back through that storm. missed a bolt of lightning that made the grass flicker, pulled up on that same rock bank, and we proceeded to start fishing pretty much right down the way from where that fish was caught.
Yep.
And I tell Jesse to jump up over my shoulder for an on-the-fly interview to kind of give an update for the story.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't use this because I heard enough fucking feelings in that part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
They would have lost their minds like Clayton Bigsby in the Deep South on the Chappelle Show if they had realized that we hooked a fish that I feel was just as big, if not bigger.
Mm-hmm. And he surfaced
while I was talking to the camera, and
mm-hmm.
it came off at the surface, and it was on the end of a long cast,
mm-hmm.
and we could have easily had first and second or first and third, most likely.
Yeah. You know, I did forget that.
Pulled off because those hook points were rolled when I checked them. Like I didn't check them after that fish.
Yeah. And it wasn't just a couple hundred yards down that bluff from where you caught the other one, right?
It was right. It was probably the second or third cast.
Yeah.
Rain
right back.
pouring down.
Yep.
Yeah, how pissed would cousin Larry and his uncle friggin' been then? Like, I just knocked you down another 10 grand, homie.
Hey, you know what's funny, Oliver? Is I recently had conversations about you at the AIA. We sponsored the Big Crappie Challenge, and I talked to those guys about all this. So we caught up on this from like a whole nother perspective. I got their perspective on it, and maybe we'll talk about that later. But so yeah. So anyway, we weigh the fish in, get back. It's pouring rain at the weigh in, and it's cool. Like everybody's under a tent and get the check and everything. And I'm like, after it's all settled in, I see the guy that got second. I'm like, man, what do you feel like getting second, by 100 pounds? I got to go talk to this guy. So I'm like, hey, man, tough luck, like congrats, but golly, how that, and he goes, man, I tell you what, man, I threw my daggum jig out there and somebody come by in one of them big old wake boats and then knocked my Mountain Dew over in the floor. And I'm telling you, this is word for word. I set my rod down, go to get my Mountain Dew, and I come back and that line was swimming. And I thought, you mother. I'm like, I'd have punched him. If he'd have been 6'8", they'd had to pull me off him if I'd have heard that. Because we just went for 3 days throwing 10-inch baits. I was exhausted. And if that would have, dude, if that would have beat it, so it was, luckily it was in our favor, but imagine the script the other way. I'm like, I just pretty much was like, well, okay, I feel a little better in my mind. I'm thinking, thank God you didn't beat us doing that. Let the rod down. That's got you 20 grand.
Yeah.
You knew that, Oliver, right? I told you about that conversation.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to share some more insight. And the reason why you guys might hear a chip on my shoulder telling that story and reliving that is because of kind of the aftermath, right? Like the controversy that followed.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we documented it to a level nobody had ever documented it, right? Beyond cast to catch footage, witnesses passed both their polygraphs with flying colors, and I got so much shit after trying to do something really cool.
Yep.
That I did with my boy Wes to share with the culture.
Yep.
And I was really disappointed by that. Like I was like, damn, it's like that.
So guys, so to go into that is what happened was we filmed everything and we weren't hiding anything. So we bluegill fished on a dock and it was before cutoff. Okay. But what happened was in these big Lake of the Ozarks docks, this was a giant dock at the place we were staying at. It was so dark under there by the time it was getting later in the day, it wasn't past cutoff, that my camera, Sony Handycam, like he was talking about, we just flipped it to night mode because it was so dark. So we were filming in night mode under this very dark dock, and we bluegill fished had a couple beers and we just flicked. I don't even know if we caught a bluegill. I think he did. And so people thought we were fishing at night that night before because we had it in night mode. This is the honest truth. And so people went crazy. They were literally they had lawyers reaching out to Anglers in Action that we should have been disqualified because we were fishing after hours. Now look, rules are rules. But when they called us, we said, here's when we did it. Here's the truth. why would we put it out there if we did anything like that? We put it in the video. We could have easily left it out if we were like, oh, let's just go fish. It'd be fun. First of all, we wouldn't do that because it's not worth it. Why would we try to fish for $100,000, put our life jacket on every single time you drive, make sure you're not doing anything wrong, and then go bluegill fish after dark? Excuse me. So anyway, they were calling us on Christmas Day, Oliver, right? And demanding.
We wanted to do something cool and give everybody something cool to watch, with their families,
right?
That they went fishing with, and we get these messages, and I'm like, are you effing kidding me right now?
Yep, it was bad. It was very, very frustrating, and
it was beyond disappointing, man.
And you guys,
really,
you guys follow Oliver, and you guys know, like this is a sore subject for both of us. Because I mean, when you get lawyers involved, and so I called an attorney, and just in case, because in this instance, this is what you got to do, and so we quit answering their questions because there's nothing we had to gain. And the attorney got on, and he goes, "Well, I just pulled up their website. They've already changed the rules. This is an interesting thing because I call it the Oliver Nye rule now. So they changed. You can see attorneys can pull up. Anybody can." At this time, this date, this is what this website showed. And at this time and this date, this is what the website showed. And they had changed the rules like mid argument or mid dispute that you couldn't fish this tournament if you made the majority of your income off YouTube. And so anyway, the attorney's like, well, that kind of ends this anyway, because they changed the rules between this. But so yeah, it was unfortunate because they could have done so much with that. They could have parlayed that into bringing Oliver back every year and being like, beat Oliver in the Big Bass dream, like chase your dream. They could have parlayed it into so much great marketing. And Oliver, I will tell you that, I mean, Big Al, he's an awesome guy.
He was cool to me.
Yeah. And he had nothing to do with it. It was business and it was all business. And I do understand from their side, they had lawyers reaching out. They do have rules. And it looked like we were fishing after dark because of the night mode. We weren't. I'll just settle the debate. We were not fishing after hours. And so Oliver, I was talking to him at the Big Crappie Challenge, and they're really nice people. I love them. And he did throw us a bone. He's like, it was more just like he had to. His hands were tied because he had the lawyers reaching out to him on Christmas. They were demanding that they get answers. And I know that probably won't make you feel any better, but I even said, hey, you could have done so much with that. He's like, oh, I know. He goes, it would have been great, but after that, we couldn't. Does that make you feel any better?
No.
Yeah, me either. But
they can take those events and shove it.
I don't blame you. Man.
It's all good. I went in there with the best of intentions, and wanted to do something really cool, and we accomplished our objectives.
Yeah.
And got shit on, and I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. There's
it's cool that we're talking about this story because my very first Big Bass Bash going down there, I watched his video.
Oh, really?
I never knew that was you.
Oh, really?
Now that's why I knew about the perch thing. I'm putting it all together now, and I've never fished Lake of the Ozarks. Yeah, I'm from Oklahoma, so I watched his video.
Yeah,
tried how to do it, and that was
my only time.
Now I'm like, I'm kind of blown away that this is all happening.
Yeah. The Oliver Nye rules in place now where you can't, if the majority of your income's on YouTube. And because I was trying to get Scott to fish that Big Crappie Challenge, Oliver, and he's like, I don't think I can, I'm doing this, and this. But
which is stupid because that still has never applied to me. Like the
right.
Fucking, what a dumbass rule. I'm sorry.
And you got sponsors and stuff, so it's like, okay, well, what's the majority and how are they looking into that? And it was just one of those anyway. But they were just trying to appease people because, they fought it hard. But there's been a lot of other cool stuff, man. That you and I fished the Columbia River together. You invited me down to Austin, Texas. We caught 2 9-pounders in one day with you. Oliver guided me on 2 9-pound bass, both on a 10-inch mag. And so I'll make this one short, but went back in this little creek, and this is fishing with Oliver. So there's this like footbridge over this little creek, and I throw the bait or Oliver throws the bait, and somebody's up there like, hey, you got one following you. What was the bait? It was a 10-inch. That's what they were looking at. It was clear water. They didn't, they didn't think it was the bait. It was huge. And so go back to that footbridge and throw back against this like root wad and hooked up 9-pounder. It was like, unhealthy old 9-pound fish. Remember?
A old haggidy fish. Yeah. Ugh.
And you remember he had a circle hook broke off in the very top center of his lip?
Oh yeah, bit someone's minnow, broke someone's heart.
Yeah. Yeah. So we took that circle hook out of him, and I'm sure that felt good. Took some pictures, and I was so stoked. So we had a kid named Brett with us, Oliver's cameraman at the time. And Brett was a fun kid.
I saw Brett about a month ago, by the way.
How's he doing?
He's good, man. He's got himself a little girlfriend. He's got like this super sick, like Japanese, like old school, like van, almost like a spinner van thing he just picked up. Like he's in a good spot, man. It was good catching up with him.
He's a good dude. We had some heart to hearts in the truck sometimes. But anyway, so Brett was fishing and I was fishing, and you and Oliver, and then Ryan from Discount Tackle.
No, he was a Stormer at the time.
He was a Stormer.
And then he went to Tackle Direct.
Tackle Direct. Okay. So Ryan was Stormer. So there's 4 of us in this boat. Well, I was up front when I caught that fish. And so we got out at the mouth of this creek, and I was like texting my buddies pictures, and you know how it is. And so I told Brett, I'm like, here, dude, take the front of the boat. Like, I'm good. I'll fish off the back. And it was the next cast. I threw a long cast out over this flat and hook up. And this fish jumps to the boat, and you can hear Brett go, "Oh my God." I just switched him.
Brett does it with extreme enthusiasm and happiness for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. Yeah.
And the part that you're missing was that it was Ryan's birthday. And the day before, coming from Jersey, they kept a lot of stripers out there. He hooked and landed a monster landlocked striper on the other lake. But to
picking
him,
a backlash out.
Striper. It's kind of like how I feel when I'm anywhere else and I catch like a big largemouth, right? It's like, it's just still a largemouth. Oh, for here, it's really big. I'm like, yeah, okay. So he was actually kind of bummed, I feel, after catching that mega striper.
Yeah.
And then the next day, which is the actual birthday, you slammed 2 29-inch fish.
Yeah.
They're both 27 inchers.
Yeah, and you're right. Brett jumped 3 feet off the front of the deck because, like I said, all I have is 8 cameras running. So the dash cam caught. You couldn't even see him in the boat anymore. He jumped in excitement for me so high out of the boat.
So high.
Yeah, what a guy. I mean, how about that? Cheering for somebody else's fish like that. That just tells you everything you need to know about somebody, doesn't it?
And meanwhile, Ryan's just like stone-faced.
Yeah, hit the womp, womp, womp button. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to. It's too late. Timing's off. But yeah, you get this video of Ryan in the front of the boat, and he just can't hide it. He's just like not moving, like shoulders slouched. And I don't know if he even felt that way, but it sure looked like, really?
Oh, great. That's on the YouTube channel too. I think it's on your old YouTube channel even.
On Undercover Sportsman. Yep. Dual 9-pounders.
Wow. Yeah.
And then tell them about the remix video we did. Remember from the movie scene?
Oh gosh. This is
Y'all have a rap video or something?
That I got.
Kinda.
Yeah. This is the year that I got my first brand new boat ever. It was a Ranger 2016 Intracoastal. First one with sea deck. A non-carpeted, foam, flooring option, and we're launching this thing. And Wes and I are about the same generation, so we're kind of fans of the same, some of the same music, some of the same movies. And one of the movies that we liked was Training Day. And I wouldn't be surprised if you young fellas don't even know what that is or who was in it, but it was like a classic gangster cop film based in LA. Gangbangers, the low riders, all of that. And there's a real iconic scene with Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke. And do you remember how it goes? The original?
Wes? Yeah. So Ethan Hawke, he's kind of nervous, and Denzel's like taking him up to the car, and he's like, burp, burp, unlocks it, and he's walking around. There's like some music playing, and Ethan kind of stops and they're looking over the top of the car, and he's like, what he says is, you get this from the.
No, he said something along those lines, but he's like, are we going to the office?
Yeah, he sits in the car. Well, no, he's like, do you get this from not the impound, but like where you get your police cars out of? He's like, no, there's something, get in. So he gets in and he sits in, he's looking, he goes, yeah, are we heading to the office? What are we going to do? Because they're working the field.
Yeah.
And he goes,
They're detectives. They're like undercover.
Yeah, and he looks at him and he goes, "We in the office, baby." And then Dr. Dre cues, and he's like jumping, he's like lifting it, and
it's a good movie.
So we did it with this boat. So like we're walking up and they play the same music from the movie, and we're walking up and like I get to the boat and I'm like, we going to the office, and Oliver looks at me, he's like, "We in the office." So then we do the engine, cue Dr. Dre. I thought
a very, very rough and cornball attempt at mimicking some Hollywood greatness.
Man, I
but
thought we did
had
all
fun
right.
with it.
That's the best stuff, though.
Yeah, we tried. That's all, we tried it. I thought
that's the thing. You got to try, man.
And it probably got 100,000 views.
No, it didn't go as viral as I'd hoped, but it did get some views.
It did all right.
So, Ollie, tell us about your plans here. You're gonna fish in Champlain. What do you got going on?
Oh man, geez, there's a lot in front of us. There's a lot that we've done already in 2025, and something I want to give you kudos and credit for is how you built a program for a big brand like Undercover Sportsman, only to have it pretty much yanked out from under you, right? Despite all of your personal work and sacrifice, blood, sweat, and tears, like all of that equity pretty much thrown out the door. And you took it upon yourself to take matters into your own hands, and Modern Outdoor Everything was born. I remember when you told me about this back at another show in Long Beach.
Yep.
And you took the reins, man, and had the balls to branch out on your own and control your own destiny. And I want to give you a lot of credit for inspiring me to do similar things, because I've been in so many of these situations now where it doesn't even matter how I perform. If this was a true sport, if this was one of the big four, right? Baseball, football, basketball, arguably hockey, there's no way your top performing athlete is getting cut.
Yeah.
At the very least, you're getting traded and
Yep.
like signed and traded or something. Like you're not coming out on the losing end of it, and it doesn't operate that way in our fishing industry.
Very true.
And I got tired of finding myself in similar scenarios. And I even got another call just 2 days ago along those lines, like, "Hey man, like, I just want to be transparent with you. Like, I had no idea what we were getting into when we approached you. I had never had anybody with this level of professionalism. You got me a proposal with deliverables. Less than 24 hours, you went above and beyond those deliverables. Our best running ad is our ad that we did with you. But we have a finite amount for our marketing, and I want to shift it to off-road for the next 2 quarters.
Yeah.
When we come back to fishing, I'm going to call you." But it's just like, damn, it didn't even matter.
Yeah.
I was their MVP, all right? Made their all-star team, took them to the chip, and I still got cut.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not how this is supposed to work.
Yeah.
So, after experiencing varying degrees of that over the last 10 years, including with some pretty prominent brands that I felt like I had worked in a very similar capacity as Wes did for Undercover, where I put a lot of blood, sweat in my own persona and took a level of ownership of those brands to run alongside with me, and just find myself in a position like you did at the end of that Undercover Sportsman program that you worked so hard to build. So what was different going into 2025 is I am going to continue to work with legacy brands, big brands like the Rather Outdoors Group, Strike King, Lose, Quantum. I mean, those are monster brands in our industry, as well as up and coming brands, right? Like some of these small bait makers, guys, that are kind of like where Kevin Brightwell is, back then, or they're at where he was currently, and have all the talent in the world, make awesome baits, don't have the reach. I'm going to continue to work in that same capacity. And what's unique about how I've been operating for the last 3 years is that I'm non-exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
So I can work to promote 3 different competitors in the same category, which I don't know of another person in our field does.
Yeah.
And that's important to me because there needs to be a level of transparency with my audience, right? Like, as much time as that we spend traveling the country and on the water as we do to capture this content, those opportunities are still finite. It's not unlimited.
Yeah.
I still have to be highly efficient. So now this allows me to just pick and choose what I need to achieve that goal of catching that fish in tough
Mm-hmm.
conditions generally. Uh, and I feel like that shines through in the content, right? Like, oh, I picked that square bill because that's what they want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we fished Champlain about a month ago for the first time. I've never been up in this part of the country this early in the season. I wanted to experience what this pre-spawn period up here would be like. So I came in with a blank slate, just like we did, going to Lake of the Ozarks. I'd never been there, right? And we go through the process of trial and error and process of elimination and whittle down our scientific experiment until we figure out what these fish want to eat. And dude, there was one craw color they would eat and a square bill, and there was one swim bait they would eat. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you watch from afar, you might assume like, oh, Lake Champlain, top 100 bass fisheries in the world, blah, 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 arguably top 10. Those fish are probably idiots. They probably bite everything. Not the case,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're welcome to go out there and try. And it matters that I can be 100% transparent with people that are watching what I do. Because, at the end of one of those big brand partnerships where I was exclusive for 6 years and then non-exclusive the 7th year, I started getting some pushback from audience members when they'd see me highlighting a $28 hard bait. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, like, versus a competing bait would be, the $5 to $10 range. Like, of course you're shoving that thing down my throat. You're on their team, blah,
Sure.
blah, blah. And you can only fish that brand stuff. So that allowed me to get away from that dynamic. And it really makes me hyper efficient as a fisherman because uh, despite all the different hats that I wear, uh, I identify myself as an angler first and foremost, and those angler perspectives drive all my decisions to the chagrin of a lot of my brand partners, and even partners that I work with, even now with my own brands. So that was a really long-winded way of saying that Riley and I took on ownership of the Defiant brand outright.
Mm-hmm.
Black Spirit Lures, which we unleashed at the expos this season with our first glide bait project called Chapter 1, as well as Biwa USA, which is this sweater that I'm now currently wearing to take more of that element that creates so much frustration in my life, in my professional life, and take matters into my own hands, just like you did, man.
Yeah.
So I wanted you to know that I've always thought highly of the moves you've been making to better yourself and continue to grow. That's why I'm excited about this podcast that you're starting, because it just goes to show like how willing you are to take risks. And man, I love that about you.
Well, I appreciate it, man. You were, as I alluded to earlier, you were one of the people that inspired me the most in the beginning and then introduced me to some people that I was with for a long time, and helped me have some stability to continue to push into what I wanted to do. So I appreciate that, man. And, I consider you one of my best friends and you know how life is. I got 2 kids now, man, and Oliver. So, that's one thing we used to talk about, not slowing down. Like, I'm fishing and I'm not, I hate when people say, oh, I got kids now, I can't do this or that.
You used to grill those dudes so hard, especially at the shows.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And Oliver reminded
Those
me.
poor bastards would walk up to the table and give them give Wes their sob story about how, oh man, I love fishing, but I can't no more. I got kids and this and that, and Wes would just grill them.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I'm like, I'm not going to ever get out of shape, you know? Well, sometimes reality hits, you know, and you put on a few pounds, and I'm on my 6th of 7 weekends of softball tournaments, but luckily I can sneak away during the week and fish. But yeah, as Oliver said, he's part owner, or as far as I understand, part owner of BWA. Check that out. Defiant, which we sell here in the shop. And give me the third one again, Oliver.
It's Black Spirit Lords.
Black Spirit, and man, that's really neat. I was watching you guys on social media. The name just slipped my mind. You guys are doing some really nice stuff. The packaging and branding and everything is on point. But how long are we in here?
We're in it at 50 minutes.
See, we hit 50 minutes pretty quick, Oliver. You know, it goes pretty easy.
I don't want y'all to stop. Actually, y'all are inspiring me to do more. Like, I feel like I'm way behind, and I run hard every day.
Let's build off that. So, Oliver, before I let you go, there's a lot of kids right now, and there's not just kids. There's a lot of people. Eddie, he's trying to make his way on social media, and he works really hard at Coy as well. He guides here on Table Rock. Like, what would you give as far as a bit of advice in today's age on what these kids should be doing if they want to fish, not just fish, but also produce content, get sponsors? What would you tell them?
Man,
tough.
Try not to be as preachy as possible, right? But I'm gonna speak to you guys as if I'm speaking to a younger version of myself. All right, make sure that your goals like shock people, right? Like, you have to aim high and dream big. If people aren't criticizing you, shit talking you, or making fun of you for your aspirations, you're not dreaming big enough. And it's always been a really like powerful force and drive for me, is that chip on the shoulder energy. You could take that negative energy and recycle it and put out a lot of good energy from it. All right. And that comes like from my basketball perspective, because I'm 5'8.5" on a good day these days, and pretty undersized little Asian kid that would often get picked last on a new court. And man, I never forgot that, and I never forgot who didn't pick me. And I would come at them the next game with that energy and drop 13 or 14 on their head out of the 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I've taken that into my business perspective and even my fishing now. So be ready to embrace the criticism, the doubt. And the people that are so ready to project their own insecurities upon you and your dreams and aspirations, but also understand that, man, it is a lifelong process if you're doing it right. And especially with guys that are coming behind Wes and I, the younger you guys are, honestly, the more prone it seems like you guys are to being as soft as some of the old heads claim you guys to be. The impatience rears its ugly head. The entitlement,
mm-hmm.
The lack of appreciation for opportunities, and wanting too much too soon. Right. And it doesn't matter if you're trying to grow your social, you're trying to build your portfolio as a creator, or if you'd like to leverage yourself into a position of ownership one day, or even just earning the respect of the OG anglers like Scott Turnage. Right. And like, he's an OG now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm approaching that age where I'm coming into the class of new OGs, because I've been in this game for 23 years now. Oh, no, 33 years. Wow. Holy crap. So I'm a new OG, man. And if you can't earn my respect or the guys that came before me and keep it, then you should probably reevaluate your strategy.
Yeah.
And so keep in mind, like, I think it gets lost now in this social media age, is people have lost sight of the difference between attention and respect. And just because you're getting a lot of views doesn't mean you're earning the respect of the ones that came before you. And for me, that validation of my OGs, if there's 10 of them, is more valuable than 10 million morons.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So don't rush it. there is a process involved. The learning never stops. You know, as an angler, I spend more time on the water than 99.99% of humans that have ever lived. And I'm still learning every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy how humbling this activity is. And that humility I try to carry with me into the business side of what I do. No matter what hat I'm wearing, creator, uh, owner, whatever, consultant, lure designer, blah, blah, blah. Uh, Always got to come at it with some humility, because I see that trait diminishing more and more, especially with the young up and comers that want it so bad. And trust us, man, like even the OGs wanted it just as bad.
Yeah.
I got a pretty cool story to share with you guys. And coming from Southern California, saltwater fishing in SoCal is its own world. It's so big, but also isolated to where like most of the other country doesn't even know about that unique Southern California saltwater culture. But there's a whole fleet of these San Diego charter boats that do half-day trips all the way to 21-day long-range trips
Oh, wow.
way down the Mexican coast. And I get this cold call on our 844 number for guiding and personal training sessions and saltwater charters that we do now. And it's an old timer. And we had just done a bunch of these trade shows in places like Chicago and Columbus, Ohio, where you get a lot of these older clientele. Like, they don't even have emails. Like, they don't even want to go on your website, right? It's like, you got a phone number I can call you and ask you some questions? It's like, all right, man, we'll get an 844 number for these old dudes.
Yeah.
And I get this old dude and he starts rambling on. It's like, is this big ass dreams or something? And I'm just joking there, but he said something. And I'm like, yeah, this is big bass dreams. Like, is this where I book like a smallmouth fishing trip?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, we could do that. He's like, all right. And he starts, just doing the old man deal. And he just starts talking at like 100 miles an hour. And I'm like, hold on, sir. Like, first off, like, what's your name?
Uh-huh.
And he's like, oh, my name? And it's, oh, my name's Frank Lopresti. And you guys being in the Ozarks probably have no idea who that is. But I go, Frank Lopresti, the legend? And he's like, oh, shit, don't start with that crap. So this 81-year-old man owns 3 out of the 4 sport fishing landings in San Diego.
Wow.
Okay. He owns 6 of those boats outright and has ownership in pretty much all of the rest of the San Diego saltwater fleet. And like, he is like the godfather of saltwater fishing. Like, it's crazy, man. And he's calling me to book a trip to catch his first smallmouth bass ever.
Oh, wow. That's
But
pretty neat.
It was a really cool moment for me, just as a fanboy,
Yeah.
right? And like a fan of the culture.
Because you
like
do saltwater too, quite a bit, half the year.
Yeah, Riley and I spent the last 2 years pretty much building our saltwater charter business at home. Because instead of driving 2,812 miles to Lake Champlain or whatever this is, I could drive 12 minutes down the road, not even have to get on the freeway, and I'm on the launch ramp in Long Beach.
Yeah. And
I have access to some of the most epic fishing in the world that so many people have no idea exists. And fishing that I took for granted most of my life.
Yeah.
Because I fell victim to the grass is always greener on the other side syndrome too. You just assume things are better where you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That style of fishing I've never done is better than the style of fishing I grew up with.
Right.
Versus, when in reality, like, that dream experience is in someone's backyard. Right? If like to watch you and Lance zip around in those Ozark rivers in a jet boat is wild to someone in California.
Yeah.
Right? But it's something that you guys probably go, oh man, I'm tired of this jet boat. I'm tired of these, fishing the same pools over and over. So that's giving me perspective. And we've actually had an amazing time showing people from outside of California how dynamic and diverse our saltwater fishing is. I mean, we can go fish for saltwater bass and throw an A-rig with swim baits on it and catch 5 saltwater bass from 20 to 35 pounds on one cast.
Jeez.
When it's going right? We could throw top water at them. We could throw surface iron, all your swim bait stuff. All those guys that are coming in your store buying all that swim bait gear and can't catch crap,
Yeah.
they could just bring that same stuff out on a flight and go catch a bunch of calico and sand bass with us and have the time of their life doing it. Or we can even go out there and throw a topwater cast OG at
Oh,
foaming bluefin tuna.
man.
I think I need to go fish with you guys.
Well, you're going to have to get in line because I've been saying I'm going to do it for a while, and I think we're getting to the point, Oliver, where we're ready to make a trip. So maybe Bree and I'll have to come out.
I'll just go with you.
I'll just hop in. I'm good with that.
Yeah, let's just do that.
You got room for us?
You don't own like a tackle shop or anything, and we can shoot some content to promote it.
Right. I know it. We got the OGs right here on the shelf right now. We got them in stock.
Literally the same bait.
Yep. What a cool bait, man. What a good group of guys over there at Cast too, and Ryan Hanks, and man, they're doing it right. They're good people.
Absolutely.
Another group you got introduced me to. So I always count Oliver to bring me the new stuff, and we've brought in a lot of different things per his recommendation, and so guys, make sure you check out Big Bass Dreams, Oliver Nye, it's NGY. Check out Riley Kolich. Is it Kolich or Kolich?
Kolich.
Should be nice soon, right?
Yep. That's gonna change. Get shortened up pretty quickly here.
Yep. Well, congrats on that. Miss seeing you guys. I try to talk them into coming through here a lot, but they're doing so much. They're so busy, and we'll reconnect here sometime. But we took Oliver.
Here's a little character dangle in front of you. Part of this road trip that we're on is to highlight and promote the new brands and products. Mm-hmm. And we've been inviting other shop owners and buyers to come experience the products firsthand on the water.
Mm-hmm.
And
Smart.
I wouldn't take ownership if I didn't feel like these products help me achieve my goal of achieving Big Bass Dreams on a consistent basis. So, let's hear it in the comments. Maybe we can organize some kind of meet and greet or a store appearance and do some fishing local to the Ozarks, because that whole region has always been good to me over the years. And I enjoy the fisheries. I enjoy the people and the culture. Man, I enjoy coming out and hanging out with you, except that last time at that YMCA or whatever, I was severely out of shape.
Oh, and I wasn't.
Man.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up, but since he did, I did take him one-on-one in basketball. And the funny part is, real quick before you let y'all go, so Maddie Wong was there to witness it. And me and Oliver square up one-on-one. We had to look 3 different places to find a gym to play one-on-one. And so there's this gal in the gym. There's this gal, okay? And there's me and Oliver. We're at the top of the key getting check up, right? Oh, Maddie's watching. Maddie's filming. And I said, Maddie, who do you think's going to win? And I knew he wasn't going to pick me because he didn't want to answer when I asked him.
Yeah.
And I was on fire. I mean, I just smoked.
Yo, man, I don't know what kind of steroids you took that morning, but you were busting my ass.
And look, dude, one-on-one, I'm tough. But anyway, so it was hilarious because I made like 3 shots, and Maddie just starts going, yo, I got West. And I had this gal was like cheering me on for some reason. And so they were giving me grief about that. But man, we have a lot of fun. And, but we were athletes. You were an athlete. You guys, it's been great that we can all connect on fishing now. And Oliver, I hope to have you back on, because there's still so many things. I want to tell the story about Scott giving you with the Yamaha, or trying to get you with the Yamaha, and
Scott Martin.
Yeah.
No, Scott Turnage, who we mentioned earlier, and the saltwater stuff. And man, we didn't hardly touch on anything big bass. I didn't really want to do that because that's always what people are going to ask you about. I wanted to kind of give a backstory, and hopefully we can have you back on.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'd love to come on again remotely if we have to, but I think, at the end of this road trip, and, we're in Syracuse, New York now, driving down to Jersey, pick up the Vexus, getting a fresh wrap on it.
Nice.
And then going up to Champlain for about 2 weeks, and then back to the St. Lawrence River and Lake Ontario for those giant smallmouth that you saw Riley and I catching already. And then we'll work our way west to Chicago through the end of June into Wisconsin, Minnesota, first 2 weeks of July. Okay. And there I see an opening to potentially drop back down through the Ozarks and come check out the new store firsthand, because we haven't seen the new store yet.
Yeah, man. We'd love to have you. I'd love to see you guys. Make sure to tell Riley hi. And I'm wishing you guys luck on this trip and travel safe, and good talking to you, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
This is nice.
Congrats on the new podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate you joining, man.
And they got a 7-pound smallmouth.
No.
And they made him fillet it, you know. Dollar smallmouth. Dollar smallmouth. Dollar smallmouth.